Welcome to CLIC Connect. I'm your host, Craig Sullivan. We've got a very special first-time guest joining us today, but we'll bring her out in just a minute. I would like to thank our production partners for this show today, and that's our good friends at Radisson Hotels of the Americas and Chicago Title National Commercial Service Group, California. We've all heard the news about Radisson and Choice. Give Phil Hugh a call. Talk to him and his team, please. And if you're looking to close your real estate deals on time, especially considering we just had an increase in the interest rates, give our friends at Chicago Title National Commercial Services Group California a call. They'd love to hear from you. Please tell them that producer Danny and I sent you. And with that done, I would like to welcome a good friend. She was a first-time sponsor at the 5th Annual California Lodging Investment Conference, Ms. Jessica Janis. She is marketing in building networks, fiber to the edge, making connections in hospitality, sports, and entertainment. She's with Corning Optical and a very good friend. Jess, how are you? And welcome to the show.
Hi, Craig. That might have been the best introduction ever. Thank you.
It was easy. I love you and everything you've done. You know, you might also recognize Jess because she was on an old show of ours, Check Out California 3x10. And she was the reason we were able to tour the Bank of California Stadium and meet one of the vice presidents from the LA Football Club. So, but Jessica, thank you. It's great to have you here.
Great to be here. Thank you so much. I was also on the audit one night. That was a good time.
That's right. You were. We'll have you back on that soon, too. So, Jess, do me a favor and tell the audience about yourself and Corning Optical, please.
Awesome. So, yeah, Corning Optical Communications is the division I'm in. I'm a part of, like you said, the in-building networks team, which is focused on taking fiber out to the edge. We've got all sorts of connectivity products, but we've got a software-defined LAN portfolio that in hospitality, we're taking fiber all the way to the room for an enhanced guest experience along with back-of-house operations. We've got cellular enhancement products as well, making sure that all of those phones and tablets and such are connected at all times. Corning Inc., which I'm sure most of you are familiar with, we go back 170 years. So always about innovating and bringing connections to the world. So some of these things like Edison's, the glass for Edison's first light bulb, Pyrex cookware. We've got a life sciences division that is mass producing vials right now for the COVID-19 vaccines. So many different things are Corning, and various things that you touch every day that you don't realize comes from some of our innovations.
Well, one of them is Gorilla Glass. It's on your phone and it's on most of your televisions as well. So
that's unique. So recently, Time Magazine sat down with our chairman, Wendell Weeks. Great article to read to learn about everything Corning. But Steve Jobs came to us back in 2007 with a need, and basically needed, I want to say it was 5 million square feet of Gorilla Glass, which Corning had invented years prior, put it on a shelf, didn't know what we were going to do with it. And Steve Jobs came to Wendell and said, hey, I need 5 million square feet of this. Can you help? And Wendell said, well, and Steve goes, by the way, I need it by May. So this was in February, short time frame. Wendell kind of hesitated, but learned from this experience that sometimes it's appropriate to take risk. And since then, we have probably delivered Gorilla Glass in excess of 5 billion devices worldwide.
Wow, that's I can't even fathom that. That's amazing. And Jess, send me the link to that article. I'd love to post it with this show. That's a great article to read. Let's talk about hospitality. Let's talk about projects that you've worked on. I mean, you had a pretty big one in Vegas that you did an outstanding video on that I loved as well. And let's talk about, follow that up with the sports and entertainment venues that you're either done or doing, please.
Great. Yeah, we touch a lot of different properties in hospitality. I mean, we are a standard for Lowe's hotels. We've got our software-defined LAN and fiber to the edge products in several of their properties, and more coming. Also, our distributed antenna systems, which is the cellular enhancement. You mentioned Las Vegas, and we've got a ton of fiber being installed at the moment in Las Vegas for several casinos on the Strip. But the latest actual property that I can speak to is Resorts World Las Vegas. So we took fiber to the room, out to their 3,500 plus rooms, enabling all of their connectivity. We've also got a bunch of fiber going to the casino floor. And you talked about it, Craig. We've got a video out there that's very compelling, from Scott Sabella talking about his experience with technology and the focus that they had in delivering the best guest experience and technology enabling this. So great project to work. I got to tell you, it was so many different years in the making of going out there when it was just a hole in the ground, and, really kind of fighting against that traditional architecture, which is putting big switches in the closets and driving category cable out into the guest rooms and multiple drops. And what we were able to do was take one fiber pole that also contained power versus with copper conductor, and one cable pull to enable multiple devices at the edge. And what this did was enabled the future on whatever devices are coming and technologies as we advance the various Wi-Fis. The property is going to be able to actually do those upgrades without running additional cabling, which in the past you'd run more category cable to keep up with the future technologies that were coming. So it's exciting for us because, yes, we were a part of phase one, but there's multiple phases coming. They've got more towers planned, and we are able to expand this network with those changes that are coming.
I love it. And, and right now, if you're doing a deep renovation, down to the studs and rebuilding a hotel, or if you're doing ground up, you should definitely get a hold of Jess and talk about this. I think it's amazing. It's you're not going to be obsolescent in 2 or 5 years. This is something that's going to relatively be easy to grow with as technology changes. Jess, would you tell people exactly what fiber to the edge means? I'm not sure they quite grasp all that.
Right. So traditional architecture, you have the big switches in your closets, and fiber is actually run up in the vertical of the building to each of these telecom rooms. And from those telecom rooms, you'll have a cable tray or a conduit where you're running copper, right? You're running what's called category cable. And each of those cable runs will enable a device at the edge of the network, right? So you have multiple cables. One might be for your voice, for your phone. One might be for your TV. One might be for Wi-Fi. With fiber, you could pull multiple strands under one string, not multiple going at the same time, and enable whatever's at that edge of the device. I wish I could explain this better, but multiple fiber strands under one jacket instead of multiple cable pulls with copper. Okay, so what is fiber? Fiber is a 30-year asset, and what you need at least 30 years. What you need to think about is the pipes in your building. So you're not repiping every 3 to 5 years to carry water to each of the rooms, right, in your plumbing. It's something that's going to be there for the life of the building, and we want you to start thinking about your cable infrastructure the same way.
Right.
So taking fiber out, you're no longer having to recable every 3 to 5 years to keep up with the new technology. Right now it might be Wi-Fi 6. What's the next evolution of Wi-Fi? The door locks right now are enabled by connectivity. That might be upgraded in the future. You've got facial recognition now. You've got hotels talking about your face being your key to get into the room. You've got security cameras out there. There's so many different devices and sensors that require connectivity. And to keep up with this technology, fiber is that path, because not only it's able to be taken longer distances, but the bandwidth and speeds of it, we haven't even found the edge of how far it can go.
Love it. That's amazing. And again, especially with a branded hotel, you've got a PIP, every so often, and certainly when it changes hands. And if you're already looking at forward with your building, you're putting this in so that you're not having to change and rip out walls and equipment, every 2 to 5 years based on, the PIP or sale of your property. So
Right.
yeah, I mean,
Well,
you're
and
future proofing your hotel.
right. And you think about, the state of travel and where we are and how much it's
Yeah.
changed since the pandemic. You know, they, People like the term, some people don't, but the bleisure traveler, it's real.
Yeah.
And you've got folks that are traveling and they might be staying in these rooms longer, but they might have their family with them and they might be sitting there in the corner on a Zoom call like we are right now, taking a business call, and their kid might be on the bed over off to the side streaming Netflix. Each of these rooms needs enough bandwidth to be able to hold more video power than they have in the past. So that Wi-Fi connection or a cellular connection is needed now more than ever to be able to maintain the actual bandwidth that's running in and out of that building.
Absolutely. How about sports and entertainment venues?
Sports and entertainment venues. So you talked about LA Football Club, and I'm sure it's okay to talk about this. So they went very forward thinking when they opened up the Bank of California, and they put a ton of Corning fiber into the facility to feed all of their edge devices. So they did go fiber to the edge. They used a different electronic manufacturer because back in the day, Corning was not in that business. But today we've got, like I talked about earlier, our software-defined LAN portfolio. And we are looking at upgrading that network to new electronics. And what is so fantastic is all the fiber that is there today is usable. There's not going to have to be, rewiring with new low voltage contractors going in and pulling cabling. It's all going to be installing electronics at the edge. So that's a compelling story to tell. I know their CTO, Christian Lau, is very happy with all of the support and products we've given him in the past. So that continues to be a very strong partnership. We put a distributed antenna system into Chase Center when they opened the building. Obviously, prior to COVID hitting, I think they had a handful of events, and they're going strong today. We can talk about LAX Airport. We've got our cellular enhancement projects going on in there and a ton of fiber feeding that whole network for all of the enhancements that we're making. But LA is such a great story to tell just because we have so many events coming this way. We've got the Olympics. I know we're in the bid process for World Cup facilities. And there are so many venues here in Southern California that are going to house these events. SoFi Stadium, I can mention that one. We did provide 5G coverage to the suites and got that all in ahead of time right before Super Bowl. So that was a great event to be a part of.
Love it. Yeah. And you're right. Christian was just an absolute pleasure to meet and give us a tour of the bank. Personally, my favorite stadium in California. I love it.
I'd highly recommend
size.
Anyone see a game there, but concerts there are fantastic as well.
Yeah. That's the other side. It's great outdoor venue for concerts. Absolutely. So are there any new trends on the horizon that you can talk about right now, or is that all signed, sealed, and NDAs?
Any new trends? I mean, everybody wants anything faster and, quicker, but as far as I can't really talk any new projects that are underway, but no.
Are you also doing universities and besides their stadiums, are you also doing, like their libraries, their labs?
For other verticals, I've got a peer who handles commercial real estate. I've got somebody focused on senior living, and then, universities and healthcare also are very big verticals for us. One thing, with our software-defined LAN and fiber to the edge products, it's a very compelling story to tell if you've got long reach applications. So you think of like parking garage, and this is for hospitality, but it's also for any kind of connected campus environment, you've got security cameras out in a parking garage, or you've got your sensors to show which spots are open. That requires going quite a bit of distance, right, with that cabling. And copper or category cable has its limitations there. With fiber, you can go over 2,000 feet. So you really start telling a story of making some very challenging situations possible. You think of your resorts, and you've got your pool areas that might be way separate from the lobby. And how do you get connectivity out there without it being a major challenge? Or you start talking pricing gets more expensive, because if you have to pull more conduit, that gets very pricey as well. And you know how expensive materials are these days.
Oh yeah, and there's no relief in sight on that. So Jess, last question before we go into the lightning round. How important is it to get you and your team involved early on in the design stages of a hotel, a sports and entertainment venue, anything that you want to pick in commercial real estate, but specifically hotels and sports and entertainment venues?
The earlier in the planning process, the better, and the more savings we can really show. So, it's less cable tray that you have to buy, because fiber takes a smaller footprint than copper. It's less. I talked about the telecom rooms or the telecom closets at Resorts World. I want to say we were able to go from more than the planned over 200 closets down to say 30 of them. A massive reduction in space that we were able to give back to the property to use in other ways. So ahead of the planning process, we won't have to go back and redesign. So very important. Yes, I can flip some plans on its head and change things, but earlier the better, because we can actually repurpose space. Another thing to really think about in why fiber over copper, we've done a sustainability study, which I'm happy to share with both Train Technologies as well as HKS, the architects, and showing the actual carbon footprint and the difference between fiber and copper.
Wow. Okay.
As you watch all the brands talk about wanting to get to a net zero.
Exactly. Yeah. And the sooner the better. How's that conversation with designers and architects?
They're starting to listen more and more. I feel like it's a conversation I continue to have. But I recently did a webinar about smart buildings of the future and the hotel of tomorrow. And I had Clay Markham from CRTKL on there. And it's a very, very important conversation, especially around sustainability, that the architects need to understand what it means to go with fiber. They might not understand the technology itself.
Right.
But when it goes into designing and what they can do with space, it's very compelling. Again, and also with that whole long reach application and being able to go further with fiber than copper.
I think you just gave me the idea for a great roundtable that, of course, you will have to be on.
I'd love that.
Get an owner, a builder, designer, and an architect. Yeah, I'm loving that idea. All right, my friend. So it is now time for the infamous CLIC lightning round. 2 minutes are put on the clock by producer Danny. First thing that pops into your head, starting now. Bank of California Stadium.
Fun.
Team.
Lakers.
Conference.
CLIC Connect.
Lead time.
Ouch. Awful.
Uber.
Did you say
lead
time?
Lead.
Lead
time for ordering.
Yeah. Awful.
Yeah.
Not with us.
There you go. Communication.
Must have.
Uber or rental car?
Uber.
Favorite airport?
Hands down, John Wayne.
Aisle or window?
Window.
Tequila or whiskey?
Tequila.
Favorite hotel or resort?
One Hotel Miami.
Wow. Great answer. Great answer. And you did that with 55 seconds left on the clock.
I do. Can I add one thing?
Yeah.
LAX improved recently on my list of airports. They have a fantastic Delta lounge now.
They do.
Makes
And
it
you
a
know
little
what?
less painful.
I dropped Glenn Hausman off there yesterday, and by the time I had cleared the airport, he was already sending me pictures of the new Delta Lounge. So it looks beautiful.
Yes, my flight out of LAX to New York last week, it was actually not as bad, but
Nice.
I still prefer Orange County.
Absolutely, without a doubt. It's just so easy.
For sure.
So Jess, you're making the conference circuit. You're making inroads. You were primarily just sports and entertainment venues. You've taken over the hospitality vertical as well. And how's that going? I mean, you're probably seeing some of the same people, no matter if it's NYU or lodging or Alice, obviously, but that's got to be, a new experience for you when you were dealing with other verticals.
It is. A little intimidating at first. You made it a little easier being one of the first friends I met at lodging conference, but I'm having a lot of fun. I wish I would have found hospitality years ago. It was my first NYU and I had a great time. Met a lot of great people, found some amazing opportunities that have led into a ton of follow-up. Hunter Conference was great this year as well.
Yep.
Launching this year, we are gonna be a sponsor. I just got off the phone with Harry last week. So I'm loving every minute of it. It was a tough time to come in the middle of the pandemic when Paul was so retired, but everybody's been welcoming. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is. My feeling, hospitality is the best part of commercial real estate. I would put sports and entertainment right after it, but let's face it, there's more hotels than there are sports and entertainment venues. Okay, and that's why basically. But you've got such a diversity from the rise of the motique, the old 60s motel that's now being reborn into a boutique hotel, the extended stay, the select service, the full service, the destination resorts, and everything in between. And it's just an exciting time. I love it. So you are going to do amazingly well with the hotel sector, without a doubt. So, my friend, we are out of time. How can people get a hold of you? How about a shameless plug?
Shameless plug. Email is a great way. It's Janis, like Joplin J, @corning.com, or I can always be found on LinkedIn, and Craig always knows how to find me. So thank you so much for having me, Craig.
Thank you, my friend. And Jess, you've always got an opportunity to come back anytime you're available. Just give me a call. Love to have you back again soon. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, our audience. Okay, we're down to our last couple shows after this one. So I want to thank you all for joining us this season. I mean, we've had incredible guests all year long. I do want to thank our production partners, Radisson Hotels of the Americas and Chicago Title National Commercial Service Group in California. Please give them each a call. Say hi. Let them know that producer Danny and I sent you over there. They'd love to hear from you. And as I'm very fond of saying, be kind, share your knowledge, go be amazing.